Starfield. When this game was announced, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who wasn't excited. Bethesda, the studio that brought us some of the Fallout games, the Elder Scrolls series. I played the game for 124 hours, and I have to say, I'm conflicted. On one end, the game does a lot of well, the story, the combat, but on the other end, I'm going to give my thoughts on some of the aspects of the game, the good, the bad, and I'm going to throw in some funny bits as well. So here's 124 hours of me playing Starfield. You begin the story of Starfield by starting your 9-to-5 job of mining on Vectera, a child's dream. But this immediately takes a turn when you witness a sliver of the universe, like a bit of Gojo's domain. This leads to an engrossing story of finding more of these artifacts. Something Bethesda is great at is drawing you into the main story, making you interested and craving for more. Starfield's story is no exception. The main quests are interesting, and the other members you meet in Constellation all have their intriguing backstories. But in the same category that it shines is the side quests. Unfortunately, I didn't record my favorite one, but the UC Vanguard's questline, one of the major factions in the world of Starfield, gives a twist on one of the enemies you've been fighting the entire time. By that point, I was bored of the game, but that quest brought me right back into it. My guy originally was supposed to be a space cowboy, and I would join the Freestar Rangers, and I did, and I completed the entire questline. But the role-playing is so deep, it's hard to stick to doing just one thing. The combat in Starfield is enthralling. There are so many different ways to play. You can use a plethora of guns, melee weapons, or even just your fists. But even with those, the perks you get can enhance the combat even more. The Boost Pack perk, which to me was similar to the Cyberpunk Double Jump, allows you to fly over enemies or even cause them to fall down. You're able to hit a sick combat slide, which I didn't use much, but it's there. The combat can feel a bit repetitive at times, but for the most part it stays entertaining. Those are just a few great things about Starfield, but the game is far from perfect. A lot of the aspects of the game caused my disappointment to be immeasurable, and completely ruin my day.
Lost a cousin. Well, that includes. Sorry.
The character design is mid. With games like Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate 3, I expect studios to have great character designs. I know people have made this excuse that it's not a Bethesda game without the dead eyes. But this is just lazy. Billion-dollar company, by the way. And earlier, I spoke how the other members of Constellation have interesting backstories, but it's hard to care because when they talk to you, the characters show little to no emotion. I don't know what happened in the studio, but this just isn't good enough. Now, some people were expecting seamless space travel, like No Man's Sky, and I think that would have been fun, but I got used to the cutscenes of landing and lifting off pretty fast. But man, there's a loading screen at every corner. Loading screen at the building, loading screen to go deeper into the building, but regardless, it doesn't change much about the game. But it is an immersion breaker when you have to wait 20 seconds to load in. The space travel in a space game is just super underwhelming, and the fun of the game came mostly from not being in space. There are so many different solar systems and planets in each one, but none of them are that different. You have some planets with towns and cities, but a lot of the auto-generated structures are exactly the same, with some having 3 to 4 variations. One place is the abandoned mining outpost that's overrun with spacers. After you've done it 2 to 3 times, you're just like, this again? And then the flora, fauna, and resources. You have to scan them for each planet. But a lot of the times, they'll be exactly the same for each. Why do I need to scan iron separately for each planet? And look, I get it. With so many different planets, you can't have each and every one be unique. But I would rather have half of the available solar systems if each had more detail. The next aspect is shipbuilding. I have to admit that I had a lot of fun with it, but there was so much holding it back. For instance, there are certain parts that you can only get in specific ship producers' shipyards, and even when you build the shipbuilder at your outpost, it doesn't come with all the parts. Another aspect is how limited the pieces are. You can't turn pieces any which way, it either goes straight or backwards. It felt like I was so limited in what I could build. And there were no real sharp pieces. I've seen other people's designs, and they may do what they have, and have made some very creative ships. But I feel like this aspect of the game, though fun and expensive, was still lacking. Outposts in the game are so disappointing. My expectations were probably set way too high. I wasn't expecting a super detailed city builder, but like with the shipbuilding, it's very limited. There are like a total of 14 halves or something. You can't build walls like there are in Aquila. You can't build towers like Jemison. It's just lacking in general. And one insanely irritating thing is you can't connect or straighten out objects. You seriously have to keep doing a little LBRB shake to get things as straight as possible. But a good thing about Outpost are that if you want a power level, that's where it's at. I got over level 100 easy and even went past that. And that's basically Starfield. In some aspects, it's great, but mostly it's a disappointing and underwhelming experience. I expect way more from Bethesda. I know some people are nitpicking or coming up with their own delusions about the game, but we as a community have to hold these companies accountable for releasing these subpar games. $70 to $100 for an unfinished, unpolished game is just insane. And one excuse for these studios that bothers me is when people say, oh, there will be modding. Why are we relying on the community to fix the game when the game should have been polished in the first place? But I digress. That's basically my review for Starfield, but here's some fun and funny gameplay from when I played.
Listen to me. Mining's just like any.
Get up!
Yeah.
Get up!
Okay.
What do we say, Dust?
Oh! Vasco.
If you had some digipics and made disregard for personal property rights.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Get out of here. Take your robot and your ship and...
Headquarters without Crimson Fleet.
You just killed that person in cold blood. Are you insane?
You come walk. Maybe it's time.
What the fuck? Cora! Get out of here!
Stop right there, Ensign. There's been word of suspicious behavior from someone matching your description. No, you match the description. No, you match the description.
Bro, what?
No, you match the description. We look nothing alike. I'm beginning to think you're the intruder. I'm not going to say this again. There's only one person who matches the description, and that's you. Now explain yourself, Ensign, or face the consequences. What? That doesn't even make sense. You got me so confused. I don't even remember what we were talking about. Just get back to your post before I lose my temper.
Still have the artifacts, but
Oh, there you are.
Ooh!
I wasn't expecting you to run to the eye.
Okay, well, that's interesting. You know why?
Why?
Because...
Yeah, this is actually impossible. How do I get out of here?
Come on, Rook. Come on. You can make it. Barely.
Well, here we are. Ready to kill each other for the artifacts. As always.
I'm sorry it's come to this.
Live and let live. Well, I don't know about either of you, but it's been a while
Did
since
I
I've
just
felt
talk
this
out of the final
old.
battle?